Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV and Radio, where wisdom meets experience. Join a dynamic lineup of thought leaders, professionals, and changemakers from around the world. Dr. Madeline Chan from the UK, Mariska Dupreya from Australia, Red O'Loughlin from Texas, USA, Carolyn Heward from the UK, Zunette Lub from Cape Town, South Africa, as they share expert insights, personal journeys, and impactful strategies for success. Talking Heads isn't just a show, it's a global stage for education, collaboration, and inspiration. So elevate your knowledge, expand your perspective, engage in conversations that matter. Streaming globally, empowering locally, this is Talking Heads, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Today's show is indeed Talking Heads, and I know you're expecting to see Dr. Madeline Chan. She'll be back next week. So I'm filling in as a guest expert presenter on a topic that I know nearly very well and dearly very well, near and dear. Our topic today is the silent sin of judgment, how to listen without criticizing. I'm an expert in this field. I've written this book, Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening, and Judgment Detox is included in this. This is a second version, second edition of the first. And my most recent book has come out. It is Holy but Harmful, The Silent Sin of Judgment, How Hidden Judgments Destroy Relationship and Damage Lives. So while you're looking at me right now, what are you thinking? Are you judging the way I look? Are you judging this book cover? Are you judging my background? Maybe something's going on. Have you ever felt that somebody was sizing you up, literally looking you up and down, whether they could see you or whether you were really invisible to them? If you've ever felt misjudged, if you've ever felt you haven't been listened to, then this is the show for you, because we're going to be talking about judgment in and of itself. And right now in this world, we are judging one another every single day. Every one of us has been judged and every one of us has judged. It's part of human nature. That's a very generic statement, but it's a statement that comes with a lot of backing, whether it's from statistics, neurological science, psychology, psychiatry, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All of those things come into place. So when we think about it with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have basic needs, food, shelter, etc. But we also have needs of feeling safe, and we have needs for psychological safety. And what happens is when our basic needs are not met, when we're not happy with who we are inside, what do? Many times we take it out on someone else. Many times whatever has been suppressed, repressed, depressed, hasn't been dealt with, comes out later in some form of judgment. And in this book, Holy but Harmful, there are a number of areas that I touch on where people actually have judgment. In fact, there's an entire section, I don't know if I can quickly pull it up. Here it is. I did actually, which is called 100 Everyday Judgments. And included in here are a lot of common phrases that we've said or have been said to us, or we've heard other people say. And I'll just give some examples. So, under the appearance and body section, blondes have more fun, but dumb blondes finish last. So I have had a lot of blonde jokes in my life. People thought they were really funny. Oh, you're just a dumb blonde. And what ended up happening was for a lot of my corporate career, I really was in search of somebody taking me seriously instead of looking at what my hair color is. Dumb blondes. So that in and of itself is an insult. It's a judgment. Or you look really great for your age. Or I didn't think you'd clean up as well as you did. These are all judgmental statements. We go on to the next section, gender and roles. A man should never stay at home with the kids. Where's his pride? That's a judgmental statement. You're actually looking into someone else's life and you're making a judgment about it. And what typically happens is in that statement, for example, a man should never stay at home with the kids. Where's his pride? There's something in you, the person who said it, there's something in you that feels unfulfilled or feels fear, feels shame, feels guilt. And so instead of addressing it, because you might not even be aware of it, you put it out on the other person. All right, if we go to the next section, wealth, class, and status. They sold their home and now they're living in an apartment. How good could things be for them? This is a statement I've actually heard people say. Well, they lived in their big mansion and now they're living in an apartment. So how good could their life really be? When what they didn't know was that they decided to downsize because they were tired of taking care of the big home. They put their money and invested it, but they didn't want to live in a big home. They wanted to live in a place where everything was taken care of. But to the outside person who was not aware of this, they just made a judgment. Faith and culture. He never had his bar mitzvah, so technically he isn't Jewish. Okay, this is a judgmental statement. When it comes to religion and it comes to faith, people are throwing out comments. I've heard so many different comments about God doesn't love you because you don't go to church. And meanwhile, the same person who might say it is cutting you off in the parking lot to get the space. So think about when and where you've heard these comments, and maybe you were the one saying it. Lifestyle and health. She's gluten-free, must be just another fad diet. We don't know why people pick the diets that they pick. We don't know if they have allergies. We don't know if they have health conditions. We don't know if they were recommended by their doctor. We don't know what the situation is, but yet we feel that we need to comment on it. Relationships and family. She can't keep a man. She must be too difficult. Judgmental statement. Always coming from a place where we don't have knowledge. I'm just going to read one or two more. Work, education, and achievement. She's a teacher. She couldn't make it in the corporate world. Judgmental statement. Age and generations. He's too old to understand technology. Judgmental. And finally, identity and belonging. She doesn't even speak proper English. Okay, all of these statements are cutting statements. They're statements that hurt. They're statements that sting. And we give them out without even thinking. If you think about some of the major events that are going on in this world, and I don't have to tell you what they are, because if you're watching the news, if you're on social media, you're going to see them because they keep coming up over and over again. It's amazing, if you're not aware of judgment, how deep the suppressed anger goes in many cases, that instead of looking at one another as human beings, all of us have a right to be here, we start judging, we start labeling, name calling, passive aggressive behavior. And so the reason why I wrote this book as an extension of this book is because my entire objective goal in this lifetime is to leave people with information. information on how we can treat ourselves better and how we can treat others better. If you are turning to violence, if you are turning to using your fists to take care of a situation, I want you to think about, how is that serving you? How is that serving you in a healthy manner? When we feel uptight, when we feel this overwhelming urge that we can't control, we need to learn how to control it with tools, or else we have to get help. They're really the answers. We have techniques, we have meditation, we have yoga, we have walking in nature, we have going to a counselor. There's many options of how we can get help. But in my opinion, in the research that I've done, in my experience, it starts with us. It always starts with us. By learning how to believe in ourselves, by learning how to love ourselves, we take so much of that unfulfilledness, that bitterness, that repressed anger, and we break free from it. We absolutely do. When you put the time and effort into learning how to be true to yourself, learning how to love yourself, when you finally accept this is the container that you're in, do the best that you can with it, what you're putting into it, what you're putting onto it, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how you're showing up in the world. And for any of you out there who are watching or listening and you're calling me names or you're saying that I'm this and I'm that, that's on you. It's on you and you have to live with it. I can't do anything to help you with that. I can just do something about how I am feeling about what you're doing. And I'll give an example. I recently was in a treadmill mishap where I think one of my sneakers was not fitting properly and I tripped and I fell off the treadmill and I got injured. And I've had people say to me, why would you be on such a dangerous piece of equipment? As though the treadmill is now a human or we've given it these powers, as opposed to how we engage with it, what our mindset is with it. I heard someone else say, well, if you knew you should have changed your sneakers, you got what you deserved. Very judgmental. In both cases, those statements were not filled with any empathy or compassion. And that's what I want us to think about. Are we saying things that are kind, that are true, and that are necessary? Kind, true, and necessary. So before we speak, we take a 6-second pause. And in some cases, I recommend maybe you pause for an hour, maybe it's for a day. And you think to yourself, before I say what I'm going to say, is it kind? Is it necessary? Or is it true? I've also heard from people that they literally cannot control what they're going to say, that they know it's not going to be nice. They know there's no reason for it, but yet they still say the cutting comment. This is an extension of a person not being happy with themselves. So ask yourself right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with you? We actually have a little exercise, which is called the circle of happiness, which I'll do on a different program. And in the circle of happiness, you actually evaluate your happiness in many different categories. So it could be personal development, it could be professional advancement, it could be finances, health, relationships, family, etc. And what I typically see when I'm teaching one of my courses on listening is that there is some place where the circle is not even. And if you think of a circle as a wheel on a car, for example, and so it's not going to drive smoothly. And that's the same thing in our life. When we have shortfalls in areas like finances, for example, that might start to consume us. We might lack patience because we're impatient with earning the money. And as we know, money comes and money goes. It's an energy. And so what we do is we start taking out our frustrations in other ways. Maybe we start having addictive behavior. Maybe we start berating people, just yelling for no apparent reason. But there is a reason. The reason is you are unhappy, unfulfilled, unsatisfied on some level. So when we can first recognize this, which that is a huge step in and of itself, for you and I to look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm not happy in these aspects of my life. So are you going to make a change? Are you open and willing to say, I need to do something differently? Because if you're not willing to do that, and you think that some magical something is going to come and change things for you, most likely it's not going to happen. We have to make it happen ourselves. If you are appalled, outraged, any number of negative energy about what's going on in your life, in your world, how are you showing up for it? Are you meeting violence with violence? Are you meeting anger with anger? Are you saying, is what I'm thinking in my mind, is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Many times the third one, the kind, is not there. So thinking about how you can reframe whatever it is and give that next person who's not meeting you where you are, giving them grace. And what does grace look like? You have the ability to set a boundary. As we talk about many times in my course, setting boundaries and asking permission. The boundary can be that you don't want to have this person in your life, or you want to unfollow this person, or you've decided, you know what, I do care about you, but right now, with you feeling the way you feel and coming across in the way you're coming across, I have to set a boundary and say, I can't have you in my life right now. And people get upset by that, right? But we have the ability to say, this is not healthy for me. And if you want to criticize me for it, that's on you. So what I'm suggesting is when we look at judgment, it comes in many forms, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, we're going to take a break, and we're going to hear from one of our sponsors. So please do stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly. Here we go.
Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions, designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacalyn.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today.
Hello and welcome back to Talking Heads here on USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is about the silent sin of judgment. And it's all part of mastering the power of elevated listening, the book that I've written, Solutions for Deeper Connections, Better Relationships, and More Authentic Conversations. So why this topic and why now? As we discussed in the show earlier, there are things taking place in this world that are really causing people to be very judgmental, very polarized, one side or the other, for all of these different things that are taking place. And so what's happening is, instead of us coming together as a global community, instead of us lending a hand and lifting each other up, we are basically cutting each other off. We are throwing barbs, and we are labeling and name calling and putting a lot of distance between ourselves. Now, I just mentioned before we went to break that there are times when you need to set boundaries. All of us have to set boundaries for ourselves, boundaries for others. And that's part of being healthy. But when we start setting boundaries and looking at someone's execution, assassination, and talking about the person after they're gone, there's certain things to be said about that, and that'll be on another show. But for today, we're talking about how we can recognize judgment and what we can do once we realize we're being judged or that we're judging someone else. So the first step is to be at peace with ourselves, and that's something that we have to work on every day. I'm working on myself every single day. I have my home set up in an environment that is conducive to me doing the work. I live in a very quiet space, and I love the silence so that I can actually think and I can grow from that. Many times we have noise, we've got sound, we've got music, we've got televisions, and it's almost a way to escape thinking about ourselves. I'm not saying it's not nice to put on music, it's not nice to watch TV. Of course it is. But some people are doing it on a regular basis for the intent to not have to be alone with themselves. And so if we can't be alone with ourselves, then we can ask ourselves, well, how could someone else be alone with me if I can't be alone with myself? So recognizing first, let's love ourselves. Let's be happy with all that we have. Each and every one of us has something to be grateful for, I'm sure. So let's do our affirmations. Let's just give back gratitude. Let's thank whatever higher power or spirituality you feel. Let's give thanks and gratitude. And the second thing is, when you feel like you're being judged or you're in a judgmental situation, take a pause, take a break, take a time out, and realize that this person is judging you, and that's on them. We don't have to counter it. We don't have to come back and now judge them, because now we're doing the same thing. And the whole purpose of why I'm sharing these tips is so that we can cut down on the amount of judgment. I don't know if we can actually totally eliminate judgment, but if we can be aware of it and cut back or cut down on it. The next thing is, think about what we're saying before we speak. Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it true? And then the next part I already mentioned is setting boundaries. When you're in situations where you are being judged, what kind of boundaries can you set? You might be able to make a statement. I heard what you said, and I'm going to give you grace, and I don't want to discuss it. Thank you. I would appreciate it if we could move to a different topic. There are many ways to acknowledge what the person said. You don't have to agree with it, but you don't have to go back and forth with that banter that really typically doesn't get anywhere, but just is building fuel, building the flames so that the flames grow higher and higher. And so what went from an offhanded comment now becomes a full out fight. So think about, what is the role that you can play when you know you've been judged? So I just mentioned to you, I've gotten a lot of judgment from people about me falling off the treadmill. So I started thinking to myself, I wonder what the reason is. And in some cases, people feel badly for you because they weren't there or they couldn't do anything for you. And so they offer up some kind of backhanded comment because they're trying to deal with the fact that they couldn't be there for you. Or maybe they truly feel sorry and bad that it happened, but they don't want it to happen again. So now they're going to give you I told you you shouldn't do that. That's a judgmental statement. When someone says, I told you you shouldn't do this, you deserve what you got. That's a judgmental statement. Now, something I want to bring out that isn't in this book, but it will be in the workbook, is when we hear the same information repeatedly over and over, and I'll give an example about being nagged. If someone in your life is consistently nagging you about something, each time they bring it up, the information in a ranking system somewhere in our brain, I believe it's called signal psychiatry, but I have to find references, but I just discussed it with someone, so I'm just speaking top of mind without the references. That information has no value. The information has no value because you've heard it again and again and again. But if someone were to share something in a different way, a different approach about whatever the issue was, that might be something that you'd be willing to listen to because you haven't heard it before. So when we go back to our partners, back to our colleagues, back to our families, and we're delivering the same information over and over again, for example, you always do this. If someone says that to you 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, at some point, you no longer are listening because that's not information. And then they may say to you, well, you're not listening. No, you're not listening because that's not new information. It's the same thing recycled over and over again. So we have to think about how can we share information without being judgmental and so that it brings a high level of value. So today for this program, we're going to talk a little bit as we close out about elevated listening. So when we think about all of the discourse and all of the confrontation and all of the violent protests, at the core is no one's listening. No one is listening to anyone else. We're not even listening to ourselves. We are overcome by emotions. And when emotions start to take over, that's when the logical part of our brain doesn't take over. So our emotions get the best of us is an expression. So I would like you to think about a time when you felt out of control emotionally. We've all witnessed this. I just saw it the other day, actually out at I think it was a restaurant, and 2 people were not getting along. And then it just escalated. And then one of them just walked away because there was nothing left. Now, when I teach my listening course, Setting Boundaries and Asking Permission, I do suggest to people, you listen fully, you're totally present. And then as an option, you validate the fact that you heard the person and that you thank them for sharing and that you've decided that you have no comment and that you're going to get up and walk away. Because at that point, you might be highly emotional. And so you need to take a timeout. A timeout when you get the emotions under control. Excuse me, because if they're not under control, you can't have a conversation that has new information. Instead, we get into this endless loop of repeating the same thing over and over again. And that's what I want us to break. So when we're listening at an elevated level, we're fully present, completely engaged, and we have no objective. The objective is not, oh, as soon as she stops talking, I'm going to let her know how I feel. No, judgmental. It's not about, oh, you think you had it hard? Let me tell you how I had it. Judgmental. All included in my book. Okay, the 100 statements, they're in there. It's about being curious, being interested in another person's perspective. I am someone who is very interested in what other people have to say. I don't have to debate it. I'm not trying to win an award and go, yay, I'm right. I don't care about being right. I'm just interested in what other people have to say. That doesn't mean I have to accept it. That doesn't mean I have to incorporate it. That just means that I am very interested in listening. I've been told throughout my life that I am a really good listener. And I believe it's because I'm not trying to be a winner. I'm just trying to provide a space where people can share. So I want to go back to the example of when I fell off the treadmill after tripping. I felt like I didn't have a lot of compassion and empathy from people to just really share about how I felt when I fell off the treadmill. I felt like there was a lot of judgment about you should do this, you shouldn't have done that, instead of somebody just saying, hey, you know what? I'm so sorry that happened to you. You know, you've been working out your whole life. How does that feel? I mean, how are you feeling about going back on it? Or are you injured? Things that people will say that would be compassionate and filled with empathy. But many times we don't get that. And because I am trained, because I do work on my emotions every day, for people who don't have those skills, they might lash out. They might start making general statements like, everyone says, a collective, everyone. Is everyone saying something about me falling off a treadmill? Of course not. People could care less. I don't want people to care. I want people to be compassionate for a human being. And that's what I'm asking of you. Instead of criticizing, you always, you never, you should, instead of using those sentences, those phrases, I'd like you to think of, thank you for sharing that. I just want to let you know I'm here for you. I care about you. If you ever need a shoulder to lean on, who can I introduce you to? How can I help you? What would it take for you to feel better? If we start using those kinds of phrases instead of you should, you never, you always, I told you so, I think there would be a major change. So I want to thank you for listening. And I want to leave us with this, which is what I've been doing on all of my shows. I want to leave us with 5 peace actions. I'm actually a peace ambassador and I take it very seriously. And I want to leave us with these 5 peace actions so that we can incorporate them into our life. And the first one is exactly what I'm talking about, which is seek peace within yourself and others. And by the way, this is from World Citizen Peace, empowering people to create a just and peaceful world. Reach out in service. I hear this all the time. I can't help anyone. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't know how to do it. Look around in your circle, in your life, wherever it is that you go, and think to yourself, how can I help someone? Maybe it's by sharing something that I've learned. Maybe it's by just being a listener. How many times I've heard this? Somebody actually listened to me today. A complete stranger said hello. Somebody smiled at me. It changes people's lives. And I'm asking all of us to do that. Be kind, reach out in service, protect the environment. Look around at how you're living your life. Do you have to throw the trash into the street? If you're a smoker, do you have to drop your ashes into the road or along the highway? If you're not recycling, ask yourself, what would happen if I did recycle? What would happen if I did compost? What would happen if I did start to give my things that I'm not using, instead of putting them into the trash, give them to Goodwill? Or maybe they can be sustainable fashion, or maybe you can give them to a charity shop. Respect diversity. I love seeing people who don't look like me, who don't talk like me, they don't sound like me, they're from other cultures. I want to know about them. I want to know what it's like where they are, because I'm curious. Curiosity. Remember, as a child, being curious about everything before someone told you, don't do that. Go sit in the corner. Go to your room. And just like that, the curiosity and the wonder is gone. And as adults, I think that's something that we truly highly need to incorporate, being more curious instead of being judgmental. And the last one is being a responsible citizen of the world. When we look around at what's going on in this world today, what role are you playing? What role am I playing? I'm here bringing education and awareness. That's what I'm doing. I'm not taking sides. I'm not trying to solve world problems. I'm trying to prevent more. I'm trying to prevent more by helping each and every one of us find inner peace. And it starts with us. The work starts here, looking within instead of without. Not what it says on television, not what it says in the media. What are you telling yourself? What's going on in here every day that you're telling yourself? Are you saying, I love myself? I like myself. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. Are those the things you're saying to yourself? Or are you saying, I'd be this if it weren't for that. She did this, he did that. I didn't get this because no, it starts here and it starts here. And when we start thinking, loving ourselves and being thankful for what we have, our lives change with abundance. And so I wish abundance for each and every one of you. It is possible in our lifetime. It is possible today, but it starts here. It starts with changing our thought process. It starts with changing our behavior. Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it true? If it's not, don't say it. Don't say it. Get it out of your mind. Replace it with something positive. Every time something negative comes up for you, replace it with something positive. I am grateful. I am thankful. I give thanks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for buying my books. Thank you for listening. And thank you for taking in what I'm giving you today and giving it a try. Instead of judging it, give it a try. As we sum up today, it starts here. It starts with a 6-second pause. It starts with, before I speak, what is the value of what I'm going to say? Before I speak, is this the same thing that I've said to somebody over and over and over again, expecting to get a different response? There's an old adage, I can't think of what it is, but when you keep knocking your head against the wall over and over again, at some point you're going to pass out. So if you are showing up every day in your life saying the same thing to your partner, I told you not to do this, you'll be sorry, you deserved it. Don't expect to have a relationship where you're having great communication, because you're basically badgering, nagging, and beating the other person down. And those are all judgmental activities. Build people up. Prop people up, thank people, look for the good in people. One small comment can change a life. I promise you, give it a try. All right, thank you again for watching. If you haven't, please go and pick up a copy of my book, Holy But Harmful, The Silent Sin of Judgment, and see if you see yourself in this book, and see if you're open to learning how to change for you. Not for me, not for anyone else, but for you. Thank you again. Peace be with you. Go in peace. And we will be back with our next show very shortly. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Steve Klein Art at steveklein.art.
My name is Steve Klein, born Manchester, England, 1953. My quest in my lifetime is to create artwork from my soul and the deepness within my wildest dreams and fantasies. In 2012, my heart stopped when I was given too much anesthetic for a minor knee operation, and this near-death experience took me to another multi-dimensional world, an out-of-body experience, and I was given the gift of being blessed by an overwhelming, burning passion to become, for the very first time in my life, an artist, with an eternal passionate desire to bring my art, which I've named multi-dimensional, subliminal, freeform art, to the world, as only 3% recover from what I experienced, and now in my golden years want to release my cosmic, vital energy through my art to allow people to be a part of my cosmic dance.
To learn more, email roccogoodwine@gmail.com. For VIP pricing, mention USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.